On this episode of Luke's Band Report, we're going to talk about Benedict College Marching Band. Now, I know obviously that's not a necessary conversation for concern, but if I'm going to go through all of them, I'm going to go through all of them fairly. So all this and more coming up next on Luke's Band Report. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever you're watching me right now. Good Lord, I've never even messed up that before. But anyway, my name is Jay Luke, the owner and operator of the Passion Is Network. I'm also the host of Talk That Talk. You can find any of our merchandise at www.realtalkthattalk.com. All right, so after a much needed workout, obviously I washed myself up and a couple of things I did around the house. I'm back with another one, and this one is Benedict College Marching Tiger Band of Distinction, the B.O.D. Not necessarily the body spray.
I smell great.
Which is actually a good body spray. There's no promotions here, but nevertheless, the B.O.D. And I'm gonna be very honest in the sense that I've never really even paid attention to Benedict College Marching Band. I mean, and I'm not trying to be rude, I just never really have. Because there weren't too many opportunities for me to be able to watch them. So again, like I did on the last show, shout out to all the videographers and even their own media team that's able to get their stuff out. I actually really paid attention to them when they did their floor show not too long ago at the Culture Battle of the Bands, which I thought was cool because it was the band director, I think it's H. Wade Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me in the comment section if I got that wrong. Did the ballad, and he got the crowd into it, and I thought that was smart. And so that's kind of when I really got exposed to them. So watching this was very interesting, to say the least. Smaller program, and I wouldn't say like small in like I don't think they're like in the 40s or anything like that. I think they're probably about in the 80s, 85, somewhere around there. So as you all know, I go down the list and let's get to it. First thing we're going to talk about is drills. So one of the things that I did like about their drills, and I have to make sure I got my notes right here. So one of the things I did like about their drills was the energy. From top to bottom, you really believe that they are enthralled with whatever show that they put on the field. They give a lot of energy to what they're doing, and rightfully so, right? Most of the smaller bands typically tend to do that because they know that they're up against big odds. And so they know that the energy that they exude has to be able to showcase through whatever they're putting out on the field. So by far, I think that right off the bat, or the couple of shows that I did watch, because I think there was only about 2 or 3 of them that were kind of available. But without question, the energy that they gave out on the field was definitely something that I appreciated. And then one thing that you can tell is their drills were very intentional with whatever they were doing in the music. Now, sometimes obviously they were facing backfield in some areas, doing a couple of rotations in certain areas. But for the most part, when they wanted that melodic line to shine through, they brought that melodic line through with whatever they were doing with the drill. If it was the low brass section, they made sure that the low brass section was facing forward. And most of the people most other instruments were facing side or backfield. Same thing with any other melodic voices. And so I really did appreciate that. Let me talk about the color guard. So first of all, the couple of drills that I did see, they did utilize their flags in the drill. Very good job. Good job. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm saying that because, and don't get me wrong, there are a couple of times when they kind of threw them off to the side or whatever, but for the most part, they were doing both things. They had them in the drill and then they threw them off to the side, so on and so forth. But what I will say is, not only did they have them in the drill and make them part of the drill, but then they also used different silks. Now, it was multicolored silks. I didn't really understand the idea that they were going with the multicolored silk, but it was definitely a good look. It was a better look. It was something that it was refreshing to see, because I think they had actually two different silks. I think the silk that they had that's reminiscent of their school colors, and then they had the multicolor silks. So it was just something better or different to see, and it just drew my eye to it when I saw that different silk that was being used. So I am definitely excited to be able to see that, and I actually want to see more from you guys. So I really hope that videographers have the opportunity to get out there. And I'm gonna be very honest too in the fact that I'm gonna really try to make it my mission to get out to a lot of these universities in this upcoming season. First, starting with the National Battle of the Bands, because obviously it's right by the crib. It's right in Houston, right? So a couple of hours away, and I'm there, and that's home anyway. But I'm gonna make it a point to try to get to a lot more of these performances, and be able to give my critiques right then and there. You never know. More on that later. But I will say this: for a smaller program, um, in some of the drills that you guys are doing, drill maneuvers and so on and so forth, there can be the idea of a couple of stickouts here and there. That could be due to overplaying. That could be due to lack of instrumentation in the sense of strength in the section. You may have the numbers in the section, but not everybody may be as strong in the section. So that can tend to happen so on every now and then. Also, intonation issues here and there. Specifically when you start letting your louds get louder, there may be a little bit of intonation. Somebody may be overplaying, not moving enough air, overplaying to whether you're playing sharp. So all of these things are kind of encompassed into that. So just kind of listen for those things. But again, field presentation definitely was one of those things that I really appreciate it. Your dancers are called Sweet Sensation. Um, I don't know why. That reminded me of like a 90s candy bar. I don't know why. Sweet Sensation. I don't know. Because I don't even think there was one called Sweet Sensation, but it did kind of remind me of that. But I will say this. Their field presentation for me was not as strong. Definitely some overextensions of some hands every now and then, hand placements on some certain things, some timing in some certain areas. And those were just kind of the little things that I saw. And so for me, I didn't really think that their field presentation was as strong as I would have liked to have seen it. And that doesn't, again, I always try to make sure I preface this by saying that doesn't mean I think you're bad. That just means that there are just these little things that you probably need to, in my purview, look at. And if you think what you're doing is amazing, then hey, keep doing what you're doing. I'm not telling you what to do, but I am telling you what I see. And again, it's just from my purview. So all in all, field presentation, I think it's good. I think it's decent. I like you all's drills. I like the way you all utilize your color guard inside of the drill. I think this, musically, I think song selections is pretty good. And we're going to actually get to that once we start getting to the stand stuff. But again, I think if anything, I feel like Sweet Sensation was probably the thing that kind of took me out of it a little bit, to be very honest. So there we go. Let's get to the stands. Not too many videos of the stands, but the things that I did see and the things that I did hear. The first thing that really stood out to me is, you all, and rightfully so, smaller program, but you all are lacking in the horn section. I kind of felt like there were some horns that were trying to push for certain things, and I think it was only like one or two of them, and it was just kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. I truly believe it could be a kind of an arrangement issue, but I also don't think that that's most of your arrangements, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. I think when we start getting to these rap tunes, I think that because we want to keep up with the Joneses, we try to write tunes that are equivalent to the things that the kids are hearing nowadays. And you want to try to appease the kids, but how do you do that while keeping the integrity of your program, right? Like making sure that what you're doing for your program is giving the best quality possible. And I think that's kind of what I was hearing. I'm hearing, you know, them trying to meet what the rest of the crowd is doing for the most part. And that's just kind of how I saw it. Now, I could be absolutely wrong, but there were times when the mellophone section was right in the meat of the horn, really just doing some real counter melody stuff, some great harmony stuff, and they were right in there. But when you start trying to get the mellophone to play the screaming mellophone that is very prevalent today, that's kind of where they started to falter. And now that takes me to you all ballads. And you can tell your director is older because of the ballad selection. You all's ballad selection is really, really good. Like, if I said that UAPB's ballad section was decent, you all are topping their selection. You all choose very good ballads by far. And I think they're well written for your program as well. I think what ends up happening though is because when it's smaller program, we start thinking about the softs being softer, so on and so forth, the bigs being big, or the fulls being fuller. We start to overplay. Intonation can get out of character sometimes, and there are a lot of areas in some of your ballads where there are open and exposed sections. So like maybe the trumpet section is playing by themselves, or maybe the euphonium section or mellophone section are playing by themselves. And I don't think I ever heard the mellophone section playing by themselves, but I'm just using that as an example. Listening to the section, playing as a section, breathing as a section, articulating as a section. Are we using the same vowel shapes? Are we using the same articulation style? Because if one person is using a daw, one person is using a taw, and one person is using a tu, then they will all come out different. And so we need to make sure that we're all doing the same thing across the board. And practicing how our air is moving through some of these lines, because that was one of the things I was like, man, these are some really good ballads, but man, that is out of tune, or man, that intonation could be so much better, or man, they need to listen to each other, or it was all of those things encompassed into one. And I like to always say it: listen to your lefts, your rights, and your fronts, from left to your right and your front to your back. Blend with the section. Blend within the section, blend within the band, get inside of the tuba sound. There's so many different things. And while we're on tubas, y'all have a lot of tubas for that band. And them tubas is playing. Them tubas is playing. You hear me? Tubas is playing. Listen. Y'all tubas is playing. Okay? Playing. Congratulations. That put a lot of love in my heart with that tuba section. And yeah, I think I heard some tonal bass drums in there. Good hands. Good hands. Anyway, but moving forward, I didn't see the flags in the stands. And I think I don't think that they weren't being utilized in the stands, but I just didn't see them. And I think that's because some of the shots that were being taken just weren't on them. They were more or less on Sweet Sensation, which I thought was really interesting, because for the most part, the timing for Sweet Sensation in the stands is a lot better than what it was on the field, even though there were a couple of times where I did see some timing. But for the most part, everything else looked pretty good. I thought it was all right. I thought that hand placements and stuff like that was like cleared up in the stands. It was just on the field that I was just like, okay, this is different. So yeah, but all in all, in the stands, I think the stands, because you're a smaller program, I think the stands needs a little bit more work. but I don't think you guys are far off. And ballot selection is just through the roof for me. Through the roof. Really through the roof. So that's where I am with that. Here we go. So overall total package from top to bottom. When we start talking about the field again, I like the use of the color guard that you have. The changing of the silks, Sweet Sensation, I think could be a little bit stronger on the field. But I do enjoy your drills. I enjoy the energy that you give out. I even enjoy, I think you had just did a mute. I think the Beyonce, I say Beyonce, I don't say Beyonce. I think the Beyonce mute thing, I think you all tried. I think you guys try to be creative in some of your dance routines. And again, I don't even watch dance routines, but because of the energy that you all gave them on the field, I was like, let me sit around and look at their dance routines and see what they're talking about. And I mean, it's still a dance routine, but I appreciated the energy that you all gave off in said dance routines. So, and then your not your field presentation, but your stand presentation, definitely, in my opinion, energy's there, timing with the band, you get the moves that you all do, all of those things. I think it's fine. I just think that the intonation and things, listen to your fronts, to your backs, lefts and rights. Don't overplay, even when you're trying to do the rap thing. I think you all will be fine in that category. Just continue to keep working. I don't think you all are doing bad all around, but the all around total package, I definitely am kind of in the C- D+ range. I haven't really settled on whether it's C- or D+ yet. But I think you all are teeter-tottering in that specific area. But you all are on your way. I don't think that you all are bad or terrible or anything like that, but definitely C-, D+ range. And again, I enjoyed what you all did on that floor show. So I think you all are headed in the right direction. Keep up the good work. From what I was reading in the comments, there's been a lot of growth in that program for the last couple of years. And so because of that, I think that you guys are on your way. Keep doing it. I like what you all are doing over there and the directors and what you all are bringing to the table. So with that being said, tell me what you guys think. Am I off? Did I miss something? Did I accidentally leave out something that I probably should have been talking about? And next up, whether you realize it or not, it's your favorite band's favorite band, the one that does all the new stuff and has brand new uniforms, Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. They are up for the grade. What do you think I'm gonna give them? A+, B+, C? I don't know. Tell your predictions in the comment section. Also, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, share this out. I appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate you all for listening, and I'll see you all next week.